Hi, I'm Thomas Larsen, and I'm gonna try to explain the PBA's new rule where they're banning some urethanes. So basically the new PBA rule, it's only for national tour, no regionals, not for regionals or league or anything, and it takes effect at the World Series, which is March 7th, 2022. Basically it means that no urethane balls can be used if they're more than 2 years old. So this year, if a urethane ball is made before 2020, it's out of play. Next year, it'll be before 2021 and so forth. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments, and please subscribe. But I'm gonna give you a little bit of background and explain a little bit more about this rule. So basically there are some rules that a bowling ball has to be above a certain level of hardness, and this all came about back in the 70s when players were taking their plastic balls, soaking them in chemicals, which made them softer, which made them hook more. And it's basically the same thing with urethane balls. When they get softer, they roll differently, and it may or may not be an advantage, but either way, there are some rules in place with softness. And back in 2020, just before COVID, the USBC started doing some testing, and they found out that the urethane balls were getting softer over time, which meant they were illegal out of the factory. But then as players used them, they got softer and softer, meaning that they would fall under the minimum level of hardness when they tested them in the field. So some balls were taken out of play, then COVID hit, and everything kind of got messed up a little bit. But in the end, the USBC decided to make a new rule. The hardness out of the factory had to be a little bit higher, and then they removed the field testing. So balls had to be a little bit harder out of the factory, and then it was okay if they got softer over time. So fast forward to 2022, and the PBA starts doing hardness testing on balls on their own. So it's just the PBA's own rule, and they set a rule that when they test a ball in the field, it has to be above 70. I think it's above 72 out of factory, above 70 in field. And they found out that they only had manpower and resources enough to start out by testing the TV finalists. And it turned out that some of the urethane balls were too soft. So now they have this issue where there's probably a certain amount of urethane balls from all brands, because it's all urethane balls that get softer over time, that are illegally soft in the field, which means that players are unknowingly, because we as players can't just go and test the hardness of our bowling balls, and we would have to test them all the time because they change all the time. So players were unknowingly using illegally soft balls, which may or may not give them an advantage. But the PBA doesn't have resources to test all the balls all the time before every block and so forth. So what they did, they made this rule instead. If the urethane ball was made more than 2 years ago, you can't use it. And I think that's a pretty good compromise, honestly. I feel like the PBA saw an issue here and took action to fix it pretty quickly. And I think what they came up with is pretty good compromise, because it takes away the balls that were in question. It takes away the balls that had all the rumors about them, and it takes away the balls that were most likely gonna be in that category of having gotten too soft because of how old they were. But it still allows the players that want to have a urethane ball. It just has to be less than 2 years old, and they have to drill a new one every year or every 2 years. So I think that's a pretty good compromise. It still gives people a chance to have the urethane ball in their arsenal, but at the same time it takes away those special balls that might be special because they've been used a lot and all of a sudden they're a lot softer than what they're actually allowed to be. So I think it's a good thing, because we should aspire to have as fair a playing field as we can, as in every other sport, and you shouldn't have players knowingly or unknowingly using illegal equipment in any sport. And in this case it's unknowingly, but still you have to make sure that someone in the field isn't getting an advantage over someone else because they're using a ball that is illegal per the rules that is set forth. And that's what the PBA is trying to fix here. I think they're doing the right thing. I think it's really a way of leveling the playing field and removing all of the controversy about the urethane balls. So it's not about removing urethane completely or anything, or hurting certain players. The players that are good with urethane are still good bowlers. They can take a brand new urethane ball and still be very, very competitive and very good. So it's nothing about that. It's all about removing balls that are illegal or might be illegal from the playing field. And I think that's what we should try to do in a sport at the elite level. So, but again, this is only a rule for the PBA National Tour. It doesn't have any effect on leagues or USPC events or PBA regionals or senior tour or anything yet. So don't panic too much. If you have an older urethane ball, you can still use it in league or your local tournaments. But out here, against the best players in the world, rules are a little bit stricter, as I think they should be. So that's the new PBA rule on urethane. Let me know what you think in the comments, and please subscribe if you liked this video, and yeah, follow us on social media, and thank you for watching. I hope it was informative. Let me know if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.